What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope everybody's doing great. I hope that if you're going to contact in the desert, you have a great time and everything goes out smoothly in your trip and in the conference. I'm not going to be able to make it, but I did get a wonderful idea from one of my newest contacts and a good man. He's also a communications specialist like me, Mr. James Landreth. And he was the one who proposed something to me that I really find fascinating. And I'm going to show it to you guys because although I'm not going to be able to make it to contact in the desert, Landreth is going to be able to make it. And he floated an idea that I think could be a good idea. So, a few weeks ago, Cole Watkins, who is a great designer who does some of the work for Clint Weldon at the night shift, he reached out to me and he told me that he asked me if I had any ideas for logos and for stuff for making merch. I told him that I did, but I'm not able to create the merch yet. Still, Cole was nice enough to listen to some of my ideas, and he came up with a couple of great logos that I'm going to eventually turn into merch. But when James Landreth approached me, he said, "Do you have any good logos that maybe I can make T-shirts out of, and so that Psicoactivo is present at Contact in the Desert?" And I thought about it, and initially I was reluctant because this logo was made by Cole, and I obviously needed his blessing to for this because James doesn't want to profit from any of it. He showed me the sheet of how much it costs. If he made these shirts, because they were going to be shirts, he would charge only what cost to make, and he wasn't going to get any profit from them. And I told him that I wanted to ask Cole first. I did. Cole gave his blessing, and now we have the first official Psicoactivo merch. This is it. And the way it's going to work, guys, is as follows. Right there below the logo, you can see the little bird right there. That's from Cole. So I asked Cole for his blessing and for him to give me his logo so it can be featured in the very first Psicoactivo merch ever. So what's going to happen is going to be the following. And I'm going to read the Instagram post from Psicoactivo right here. I sadly won't be able to attend Contact in the Desert, but Mr. James Landreth had the wonderful idea to print a batch of these beauties and just get back the investment. I didn't spend nor will I make a dime out of this. I wanted to get designer Cole Watkins' blessing. He designed it, gave his blessing, and this is the result. So even though I won't make it there, Psicoactivo Podcast will. Anyone who wants one of these What's Up Human Psicoactivo tees, please let me know and I will hook you up. Jim has 40 of these, different sizes. If I'm not mistaken, the cost will be $20 per item, which is what it costs making each of them. So this is the shirt. Anybody who's going to contact in the desert needs to contact me through social media. There's only 40. I already had requests for like 5 or 6, so there's only like 34 left. You can contact me or you can contact James Landreth through either Instagram or I also post it on X and on the YouTube page. So let me know. But yeah, that's those shirts are going to be seen at Contact in the Desert. And I want to thank James and Cole for helping out with this. Thank you guys. So that's it for announcements. Let's continue with something that I wanted to talk about for a while. And that is, what do I think is going on right now? And ever since I started doing this more professionally, you could say, which was in January 2024, when Christian Harloff gave me my first chance to be on camera He made it happen on his channel, the Christian Harloff channel, that is about to reach 200,000 subscribers. So kudos to Christian for that. He makes movie content there, but he started making UFO content months before I contacted him. And I was surprised because I've been a fan of his for 15 years or so. Of his and Mark Ellis. They both created one of the best movie critic shows on YouTube called The Schmoes Know. And when I contacted him, I started doing the show with him and started helping him out with a few videos. But there was a moment where even he told me that I needed to do content on my own for my channel because I was doing interviews, but just interviews and one per week. And then I just realized that I had to start doing more daily content. And that happened at around April last year. So I've been doing content since. When I started in April, I had 39 episodes of Psicoactivo. This is episode 446. So there's been a lot of work put into this. And within the work, it's not just about making videos and getting clips from other places. It's about reading the literature, reading papers, reading declassified documents, talking to a lot of people, making private calls, and the interviews too, because I love making interviews. That's what I love the most. But you guys know that I have a very varied type of content on this channel. I have small news pieces like yesterday's about the Korea massive UFO, and I have some deep dives like this. I guess when I saw Commander David Fravor talking about the Tic Tac, that was the first time when I realized there may be something to this. And I started investigating further. That was the moment I started looking into this more properly. That's about 5 years before I decided to get into the English speaking ufology space. So that's 5 years of investigating this, trying to find out what's real, what's not, what could be a hoax, what couldn't be a hoax. I still haven't figured out much really because it's such a complicated topic. It's such a toxic environment in many cases, especially in ufology, that you have to be careful not to step on any landmines. So far, knock on wood, I've been okay. I think that one of the main philosophies in this is to try and get along with everybody if you can. Obviously, I that's kind of impossible because there's always going to be someone who doesn't like what you do. There's always going to be someone who just you rub them the wrong way, and that's okay. I still have nothing against them, and I never will. But whenever I do ask uncomfortable questions and they don't like them, I'm sorry in advance. But I will keep asking questions, and I will keep trying to be respectful. But yeah, sometimes I do use a little bit of irony in my wording and all that. And maybe people don't like that sometimes, but that's just me. It's just my personality going through there. In investigating this, the most rewarding experience for me, besides meeting new people, which I love, has been reading the material, the literature. Since I started last year, I'm in book 42 and a lot of papers, a lot of declassified documents. And what I've enjoyed the most are the books by far. And to nobody's surprise, the people that I've identified myself with the most are John Keel and Jacques Valleé. Those two guys really, in the 60s and 70s, really had their finger on the pulse of what was going on. And I just keep having similar sensations that they had back then, that this phenomenon is really strange. It can play with our perception of reality constantly, and it has been doing so for millennia. And it's just impossible to know whether it comes from somewhere else in the galaxy or maybe it's here. It could be a little bit of everything. But that phenomenon that has been interacting with people seems to be constant and seems to be from here. Some examples are, for example, Chris Bledsoe's case, which to this day I am certain that he has been experiencing the phenomenon, or at least one part of the phenomenon, and those orbs are real. He's not the only one that has been experiencing these things. There's thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people who have been experiencing this for a while. And in some of the talks that I've had with people who are involved in this at higher levels, they keep telling me the same thing. It's like, how many experiencers do you think exist? Out of 100, how many do you think have experienced something anomalous in their life? And I really thought hard about that question. And what I realized is that it could be everybody, but the level of weirdness and the experiences are varied. And there is from experiencing orbs, having a presence of an entity inside of your room when you're sleeping, the abduction experience, near death experiences, or you can also, there's also people who seem to have capabilities that are related to extrasensory perception. Some of these people that have these abilities, they have a certain predisposition to however they were brought up, whatever philosophy they had in their life, and whatever religion they practiced in their life or their family. So, whenever they experience some type of a phenomenon, that's the way they interpret it. But that doesn't mean that whatever they think the phenomenon is. It just means that that's the way they see it because of how they grew up and what they've experienced in their lives. But the reality is that I just keep going back to John Keel's Operation Trojan Horse, or John Keel's The Egg Tower, or Jacques Vallée's The Invisible College, or Jacques Vallée's most important book, which is Passport to Magonia. And they keep saying the same thing. This phenomenon is real. It does play with our perception. There's a trickster element to it. It always plays with us, and it doesn't allow us to fully see it as it really is. And that's what I think could be going on. But it also ties into the work that Dr. Gary Nolan has been doing since he started investigating this. And it has to do with biology, and it has to do with our brains and potentially our DNA. So, if you guys would indulge me a little bit, when I've been speaking to Dr. Celestino Piotti, he told me, he was very clear. He told me that in his investigation into the remains of different species, different evolutions of hominids throughout history, he's looked at all of them, the ones that have been available to him. He has seen some modifications in them every 36,000 years or so. And he developed a book called The Guardian Theory, where he states that there is some type of an entity, which he calls the anterior being or the previous being, which every one of those cycles comes to this planet, or it's already here, but it tampers with the hominid DNA, the hominid of the time. And that helps that hominid reach that next stage. He believes the same thing happened with humans. He believes we're the latest iteration and the most advanced one, you could say. So, in terms of that advancement, Dr. Gary Nolan's discovery inside a Caudate Putamen, he saw that there is some kind of a tissue there. And John Keel's superspectrum hypothesis, or his theory, states that the superspectrum is always there. It's everything is there, but we are limited to seeing just what our biology allows us to. And I believe that this discovery Dr. Gary Nolan made in the brain is sort of the next step. And it is what is helping us trying to understand more parts of the super spectrum that we don't see with our eyes, but we might be able to feel with our senses. And that's part of what I think is going on. it's part of this next step that I think a lot of people have been experiencing forever, but we don't realize that it's just part of our evolution or part of our biology. The fact that we can have some precognitive dreams sometimes, the fact that these non-verbal autistic children can experience what they call telepathy, and these hills that they go to, the remote viewing aspect of it. I just finished reading Ingo Swan's Penetration, and he was really gifted at this remote viewing. And I know that there are groups that are practicing it constantly. There are some groups from within the government that are teaching remote viewing classes actively. And there are other groups that are more independent, but they still teach it because there is a pattern there. There is a certain repetition that happens when people try remote viewing, and it is real. So I think that is part of all of it. And I just keep going back to John Keel. Let me show you what these guys thought back in the day about what the phenomenon is. I'm going to show you clips from John Keel, which is a clip that I just shared. This is my tweet. I say, the more I look into this topic, the more I keep thinking about this statement from John Keel. This phenomenon constantly plays with human perception and never stops. How can we understand it when we are not even in control of our own perception of reality? Is there a way to overcome this lack of control? I think there is. And this is what he said.
This may not seem very Fortean to some of you, but everything is interrelated. And the more we study history and the more we study current events, we see that all of these things are linked together in strange ways. That the UFOs, as most of you know who read my books, I don't think they're extraterrestrial at all. I think they're definitely tied to the human race, and that they react to things that are happening to the human race. I don't think they're vehicles. I think sometimes people see what appears to be vehicles, but they're really hallucinatory. And no matter how reliable the witness is, what they see can be questioned. The same is true in many of our Bigfoot cases and strange monster cases, that the people see some image that's planted in their mind, and the creature itself probably doesn't exist at all, at least not as the creature that's seen. When I was in India, I was impressed at the number of people who were seeing the Indian gods, multi-armed gods and all. Whatever your belief is, these manifestations are going to assume that form.
So that's what he thought. And then I'm going to show you. So this is Jacques Valleé. And this is a really funny clip because he was 25 years old in this clip. Obviously, I want to point out that Eyes on Cinema is the best UFO archive of video and interviews from the old days that you can ever find. I'm going to leave links in the description for the channel. They just took a little snippet from an interview in 1965 of a 25-year-old Jacques Valleé who said this.
There have been many books on the UFO. Most recently, one by French scientist Jacques Vallee, a NASA consultant now living in Chicago. Vallee has heard all sides of the UFO question, and he's still curious.
We know now that there is no simple answer. This is not simply psychological phenomenon or a sociological phenomenon that would have died away long ago. We know it's not a secret device. If a secret device had been developed, let's say by the Russians or by this country in 1947, we would know about it now. Something would have happened.
That was Jacques at 25 years old. And those guys were really ahead of their time when it comes to investigating whatever this is. There are many today that are following their steps. And I do think that we would be making a huge mistake if we dared say, I know exactly what this is. Because, yeah, there may be the government covering something up of some kind of science that they cracked. There may be. But there also may be other intelligences in other parts of the galaxy. I don't know if they came here, but everything points at this phenomenon being from here, possibly, and having a deep, deep connection to the human mind and to human perception. What I can't figure out yet is whether this phenomenon does play tricks with us and it's waiting for us to realize that we can reach a same level or a similar level of perception that they have, because I think that's what may be happening, or if maybe this simulation hypothesis does have something to it as well. And this phenomenon is just like some kind of representation of the system of control of this simulation. It's impossible to know what's going on. That's the bottom line. But it certainly is very interesting that even though decades have passed, we still have the same ideas if you really look into what this may be. And they are ever constant and ever present. And that's where I'm at. I guess the new part of whatever this may be is that investigation into the brain of humans. And that's why also I always go back to Jacobo Grimberg, because he was the one who actually had the courage and the balls to step into a lab and conduct experiments and try to understand what goes on in here from a scientific standpoint. And he investigated what goes on in here in the heads of shamans who displayed unusual characteristics and unusual abilities. So I guess that's where I'm at right now. And I keep reading books. I keep looking into the data. I keep talking to people. I will continue to do so. And I do it with excitement because it is a topic that is really close to my heart and I'm very passionate about. And phenomena is something that I do think everybody has experienced. And it is something that has been present in my life since I was an early teenager. So I won't stop. And I will continue to search whatever I can find. I'll share with you. Let's try to keep an open mind to every possibility. Let's not marry with a certain idea. We can't do that because it's impossible right now to know exactly what we're dealing with. Let me know what you think. What is your theory of what might be going on? I can't wait to hear everything you got to say. And what do you think about Jacques Valleé and John Keel's ideas back in the day? Do you agree with them? Or do you exactly know what's going on? I want to hear from you. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can get notified when new video drops. If you do that, it only takes a few seconds. It costs you nothing. And it is what helps this channel the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in any other way, there's a few links down there. You can become a member or you can support us on KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated. So thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive always. Bye.